it going, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the athleteshubpod podcast. Here with Kieran. How's it going, Kieran?
Yes, Rich. It's good to be back. Good to be back, man.
It's good to be back, man. As Kieran said, as you know, guys, it's another WWE episode, a long overdue one, we've got to say, to be honest. And I think the last time we spoke, it probably would have been, I don't actually remember, but when it comes to WWE, I think it was definitely before WrestleMania, 100%.
Yeah, it was.
I think a lot of things have happened since WrestleMania. I know those of you who have watched wrestling with WWE in particular over the last sort of year or so would have known a lot about a lot of the changes. And I think today we're going to just talk about a character and a few characters actually. But one of them is actually Brock Lesnar. And listen, he made his return after supposedly retiring at WrestleMania 42 after a defeat to Oba Femi. And listen, he made a surprise return on Raw a couple of weeks after that. And yeah, man, I think when it comes to Brock Lesnar, right, you look at the way that it kind of ended at WrestleMania and him putting up Oba Femi. And I think those of you who watched the feud and who watched the build up to WrestleMania would say that that's probably one of the best pieces of work that Brock has done in his career, to be fair. I mean, Oba Femi looked like a real contender against Brock Lesnar, and it almost felt like the perfect ending, right, when Oba Femi defeated Brock and Brock kind of laid his gloves in the ring and waved goodbye to the crowd and looked quite emotional as well. But then that swerve happens. But yeah, man, what's your thoughts on Brock returning to WWE after that supposed retirement?
I hated it. I can't lie. For me, like, it was the most beautiful ending you couldn't have even written it any more perfect for Brock to go out the way he did. The build up to the match with Oba, the first match, was perfect as well. And there was a lot of debate. I think even me and you were debating through WhatsApp, saying, you was like, he's got to win. And I was like, I'm not sure, because I'm pretty sure they're going to do the return at SummerSlam. But the way that it played out, for Oba to beat Brock and for Brock to, sign out, was so beautiful. Honestly, it was one of the only moments in recent memory where, as a fan, I felt genuinely moved. Because I felt like I was watching something very significant, and Brock was a part of our childhood as well. So to see him go out in that way, it was perfect. So then for him to come back, and we can get into like the politics of it in a moment, but to see him come back on Raw was a big, big letdown for me, big disappointment. He's a professional, so he seems on camera very into what he's doing right now with Paul Heyman and Oba. But if we had to believe the rumors, he legitimately wanted out at that time, and so he decided, I'm going to take the gloves off, take the boots off, and head home. And TKO said, "No, mate, you're still under contract. Don't know where you think you're going." And they just wouldn't let him go. And we have seen this in the past with The Undertaker, where he also felt his body couldn't go on. He decided, I want to hang it up. And Vince McMahon was like, no, we still need you. We still need you. And so, yeah.
But you know what, though? I think you look at WWE, and WWE is built on storytelling, isn't it? And it's about giving people great endings, particularly on stages like WrestleMania, where people have a farewell, either have a big title win, as we've seen many times, or one that sticks in my mind, or two, actually, Kofi Kingston, when he won it against Daniel Bryan. That was Kofi Mania, I think they called it. And I think Daniel Bryan winning the championship, I think in 2013, right? So they build storylines and they build feuds up into a point where it's a big payoff. That's what they call it in the wrestling world, right? So this seemed perfect, right? Because when you look at Brock Lesnar, and we'll get into a minute about him them not wanting him to retire, but you look at his career, look at everything he's achieved since starting in 2002. So what else could he really have? Look at the ending. Look at the way the superstar he put over Oba Femi's up and coming. He's young. He's kind of reminiscent of Brock Lesnar, right? But he's presented as a monster, someone who's unstoppable. So when you look at that, that's the perfect passing of the torch moment for Brock. So for him to come back again, right, I don't see how the story. It was really weird how they decided to kind of forget about this and then start again, because if he's I think he's scheduled to face Oba Femi at Hell in a Cell at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
If he's to lose that, that's going to be nowhere near the same as him, giving or passing the torch to Oba Femi at WrestleMania 42. So what else can Brock Lesnar achieve? That's the thing I don't really understand.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably a case, um, and the history supports it. When Oba was put over by Brock at WrestleMania, they wanted to drag out the storyline. Brock wasn't there for a few weeks, and you could tell there wasn't a backup plan in place. They were struggling. It was open challenges, He cut an awesome promo the night after WrestleMania. Then it was open challenges, open challenges. I mean, what's that about? That's nothing, man. I always say when you want to keep the fans entertained, you don't keep them entertained with wrestling. You keep them entertained with storytelling. 98% of the most interesting things that ever happen in WWE or WCW, ECW, TNA, or not ECW, that was a different story, but it's all about the storytelling. If you ain't telling me a story and you just put two guys in the ring to wrestle, I don't care as much, you know?
I think this was the perfect story, wasn't it? I think, well, listen, we'll get into sort of Oba Femi and sort of the way they've handled him post WrestleMania in a minute. But I think one thing I want to get onto quickly, and this is a quote from Jim Corenette, which you sent me actually, and this refers to, you know, WWE supposedly not wanting Brock Lesnar to retire. We'll get it on the screen so everyone can see it properly. And those of you who know Jim Corenette, you know, he's a straight shooter, doesn't really mince his words. And I think this is according to Jim, obviously on his podcast, I believe. And he says, Brock never really gets emotional. He can't really fake being emotional. I think Brock wants to quit and they won't let him. And that's a very interesting quote because someone of Brock Lesnar's stature, and he's obviously been brought back since his return in 2012 after taking that big gap away post 2004's WrestleMania. He's always been presented as someone who's got his own type of contract. You know, he's more of an attraction, as Vince McMahon used to say. So it feels like what Brock wants, he would get, if that makes sense. So for Jim to say, well, to claim that they don't want him to retire, to kind of retire, and they won't let him, and Brock hasn't got a say in that, for me is quite a strange thing because Brock's never really been, I guess the quote unquote, company guy. He does what he wants, what's best for him. So that's a bit strange about it. What's your thoughts on that quote?
I agree 100%. I think it's true. I think back in the days, we misunderstood how Brock had the power. It wasn't necessarily a case of contractually having the power. It was more a case of Vince really needed him because at that time there was even a bigger dearth of like real star power, and Brock was the star from the moment he came back in 2012. Up until Vince left, Brock was always a star and an attraction, and Vince needed that. And so Vince kind of gave Brock the power to dictate what he did. But in terms of like contractual power, I don't think he's ever had that. And with TKO, he's even less likely to have that now because he's not dealing with, with Vince. He's now dealing with Ari Emanuel and all of these guys that he probably doesn't have that much of a relationship with, because they weren't even part of the UFC when he was there. So, I kind of feel sorry for Brock. But at the end of the day, you signed that contract.
It's weird. I mean, these retirement swerves, right? They don't work often because I remember I don't know if you remember the one that Mark Henry did on Raw.
Yeah.
And that was perfect because he genuinely believed it. And social media was big at the time, right? But it wasn't that big where you got all the scoops and stuff. And when Mark Henry's crying on TV in his pink suit, right? Like you're believing that he's actually gonna retire. And that was perfect because I watched it on Sky and I was thinking, like, he's actually gonna leave like WWE, and I believed it. And when he gave the world's, I think, was it the world's strongest slam?
Yeah.
With a ring, like that was like, whoa, like he's actually swerved everyone. And that was perfect.
It was,
yeah. But these retirement swerves, right? I think people were surprised when Brock returned on Raw. But at the same time, I feel like it just felt as if, you kind of ruined a big ending there at WrestleMania, something that was perfect. And Brock doesn't really come out and talk in the media as much. So you kind of thought, okay, if he's done that in the ring, that's it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I agree. It was... they destroyed a beautiful moment there. And it just goes to show that, number one, they don't, if the moment is too organic, They're not gonna like get on board. Vince would have got on board with that because he knew it was like a moment, right? And wrestling is all about moments. You don't remember like the whole story. You don't remember the whole of them. You remember moments. Like, for example, how many people remember the entire match from '98 when The Undertaker threw Mankind off the Hell in a Cell? Not many, right? But you do remember that he chokeslammed him. Oh, sorry, he chucked him off the Hell in a Cell through the announce table. You remember that because it was a moment, right? So, you know, the Attitude Era, it's moments, right? Yeah. It's moments. Even some of the Ruthless Aggression era, which I wasn't that much of a fan of, it's moments. This was a great moment, and they ruined it.
Yeah, that's true, man.
Because they ruined it because they didn't orchestrate it. That's the reason why they ruined it. They didn't orchestrate it, so they're like, you know what? No, you're still on our time. You're still on our time. So you get back here, or we're gonna go through the legal route. And Brock was probably just like, you know what? It's not worth it, man. Let me just go back and finish the job, whatever that may be. But yeah, they spoiled it. They really, really spoiled it, man.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, well, look, he's made a return on Raw a couple of weeks later, and it seems as if at the moment, you know, that he's going to face Oba Femi in Hell in a Cell at SummerSlam. And that, do you know what? I think, having said that, I am looking forward to seeing how the Hell in a Cell match plays out, because Hell in a Cell in WWE, we don't see that stipulation often. Like, that's a stipulation you bring into play when you've got two people who generally hate each other, and there's going to be, you reference the Hell in a Cell 98. We've got two characters who are going to cause havoc, really, right? And I think the Drew McIntyre CM Punk at Bad Blood a couple of years ago, I think that was a very good Hell in a Cell match because it kind of told the whole story of their feud. And I feel like this has the potential to be a great match because you've got two powerful people in the Hell in a Cell. But I think, again, the build up to it so far is what it is. I think you've got two people talking. There's not been too much contact between both. But yeah, how do you see this sort of Hell in a Cell sort of playing out at SummerSlam?
I don't care. And I know that sounds bad. It's because
you don't care about the match.
No, they sucked the life out of the story for me. You know, the had Brock not done that and not retired, I would 100% been invested, because I think that these two definitely create magic together when they're in the ring. But you know, going on to the point I was making before, I think the second reason why it really sucks that they just retreading this whole story between them, it just goes to show that they don't care about the audience, or they treat the audience. They really treat the audience like secondary to money, right? How can you dismiss, or how can you just pretend that the retirement never happened? Like, how could you do that? You know, and you can try and play it off as a swerve or whatever, but the reality is Brock retired. He definitely retired. Paul Heyman came out the next night on Raw and basically, without explicitly saying it, said it like, listen, my beast is gone, changed the intro, put him in the forever section. So for me, they've just taken the enjoyment and the excitement away. And this isn't the only storyline they've done that with, by the way, in the recent memory. It's going to be a great match because these two are great. But as far as like my interest in it, it's definitely not there.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. So I think out of interest, you mentioned if Brock didn't retire, but my thing is though, how would you have put Brock over at WrestleMania? Because I felt like at the time, as you mentioned, I was telling you, Oba's got to go over. I couldn't see any sort of for them to build Oba and actually build him as a credible sort of monster, which is what they're trying to present him as. He's got to beat Brock because Brock has nothing to gain from this. It's a passing the torch moment. Oba clearly, if they book him the right way, is going to be the next up-and-coming star. Right? He's definitely over. You look at the entrance he's got, his theme music. When they show the crowd, like, people are into it. Do you know what I mean? So you've got someone who's a star here. So how would you have booked it? Would you have put Brock? Because I think for me, there's only one outcome. Oba beats Brock, and then Brock might disappear. Or I was thinking, okay, maybe Paul and Brock maybe dispute Oba's victory and then have one more match at SummerSlam, and then that's it for Brock. But seeing how it all played out, it felt as if that was a moment where that was going to be it. But how would you have booked it out of interest?
Had Brock not decided that he was done, I would have probably still See, it's difficult because
there's no, for me, there was no, when someone's so hot in that build up, so you could, I don't think there's any other outcome than Oba to not win. He has to win the match.
It depends, because if the plan was always to run it back and do Hell in a Cell in Minneapolis, I mean, we always were told from almost a year ago that the Brock would probably retire in Minneapolis at SummerSlam. It's his hometown. It's the perfect ending for him. And Brock has really become synonymous with SummerSlam. You think of SummerSlam, you think of Brock Lesnar in modern day wrestling. So, I mean, we knew that Oba was really hot going into WrestleMania, but the momentum he had coming off that win, I mean, I didn't really see that, to be honest, going in, that he needed to win. But once he won, and then the next night on Raw, you see how over he was. I would find it hard to justify him not winning that match at WrestleMania. But had I not seen that, I would have probably put Brock over. I'd have put Brock over, because that's the only way you really elongate the storyline, but also you got to keep Brock dangerous. There has to be some sort of jeopardy in the story where the fans still believe that Brock is not this, like, he's not a shell of his former self, and that we know that Oba's the new guy in town. Even if he needed some assistance from Paul Heyman, or he needed to do a low blow, whatever he needed to do to get it done, he should have got it done. Then you have Oba chase him. I want the rematch. Let's say you could have put Brock in a title match, and Brock, you think, okay, Brock is going to just win. Here comes Oba Femi, costs him the match. Then you can set up the return match now. But by the way, the rest of the SummerSlam is going to be their third match. They're 1-1 right now.
Right.
But you know, that second match was nothing to write home about.
But let's just say that if Brock was aware of this, and let's just say Brock knew that this could happen, right? Or this is a plan that they WWE put together. Then, if he's going to sort of retire in his home state or where he's from, right? Why would you? I'm sure that what he's done at WrestleMania when he put the gloves in the ring, that's got to be done at SummerSlam, not at WrestleMania, because I guess they're trying to give it. They're probably trying to give it a swerve, right? But it doesn't look great. It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't.
That's the thing. I was thinking. Well, why would you do that? No, there could be another match at SummerSlam.
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest, why Brock did that. If the plan was laid out to him that look, we're gonna carry this story into SummerSlam, which is like 6 months after WrestleMania. So it's not like don't worry, it's just a few weeks. I don't know. I honestly don't know why he would do that. I don't know if we'll ever know, to be honest, because of how private Brock is, and also how coy Paul Heyman is when it comes to Brock and his personal decisions and stuff. But
it's a strange one, to be honest. I mean, listen, I'm different too. I think the Hell in a Cell match will be interesting just to see what the climax to that one is and how they kind of present both, and what will be the next steps for Oba Femi and also Brock. But when it comes to Oba Femi, do you feel like they've fumbled him? Because, you know, you mentioned about the open challengers post WrestleMania, and it didn't really kind of make. I know he won the King of the Ring recently, right? Night of Champions. Mm-hmm. But the King of the Ring, usually, if you go back historically, is for sort of wrestlers who are going to be presented as the next kind of WWE champion in a way. I think a couple of them are, maybe Ken Shamrock won it in 90, and I think Billy Gunn won it in 99. That didn't work when he won it. Mm-hmm. But you think about Edge winning it. Obviously, Brock won the King of the Ring in 2002 as well. Everyone who's won it, Triple H in 97, they've all gone on to kind of be massive superstars.
96.
Yes, Stone Cold 96, obviously the famous promo we cut as well after beating Jake the Snake Roberts. So everyone who's won the King of the Ring has always gone on to become a massive superstar in the company, right? Whereas it feels like Oba's been given that big break now before winning the King of the Ring. But do you feel like they've kind of messed up how they've handled him since WrestleMania?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there was probably a little bit of panic around what's going to happen with Brock. And so they came up with this open challenge nonsense. And the King of the Ring, I personally would have not had Oba win it because I don't really see what it does for. I mean, on his resume, it's going to look good. Yeah, Oba Femi, King of the Ring. He's a future world champion. We know that. But
who would you have had won the King of the Ring? Who would you have? Jey Uso.
No, do you know what? Maybe LA Knight. I really feel for LA Knight. If I just talk about him for a sec, he really has been shafted. In terms of booking, he's still moving a shit ton of merch. He's still super over, and I think the interview he did recently with Chris Van Vliet on his
YouTube
platform,
yeah,
just kind of highlights how demoralized a lot of the roster is right now. Not just LA Knight, but with the way that things are being done. And LA Knight, he's been the good soldier. They put him in some bullshit storylines, and that haven't really given him the rub. It's given other people the rub. I mean, going back 3 years. 3 years when Money in the Bank was in London.
Yeah,
LA Knight should win. He's so over. They didn't give it to him then, and since then, all he's had is a US title run, and it's like.
But why do you think? What's the reason you think that he's not been kind of given that push, as they call it? Because I think I don't know if you watched WWE on Real on Netflix, but this is a documentary where they go behind the scenes and show you how things are made and stuff like that. And I think there was a spot in one of the Money in the Bank matches where they felt like he messed it up.
Yeah.
And then when he came backstage, I think you might have seen it on social media, Triple H was talking to him about maybe how he should have done it and stuff like that. So I don't think maybe they've got the trust. I think he's popular with the fans. He's definitely over with the fans, but maybe the management don't see him. Because you know what WWE are like? If you make a mistake or something doesn't look, particularly Vince McMahon was like this. If you made a mistake on TV or something looked quite silly, they would lose complete confidence in you. And that would mean you wouldn't get a further push. So I think, what's the reason why you think he's not been given like that push?
Honestly, I go back to, it was a couple of years ago, Kevin Nash put out a tweet. He talks a lot on social media, and sometimes I don't think he does Triple H any favors, but he was alluding to a conversation he had with Triple H, and in that conversation he was saying they were talking about LA Knight, and some of the higher ups, including Triple H, they weren't fans of how they felt LA Knight was kind of a rip-off of Stone Cold and The Rock, and that he wasn't really authentic, and they just didn't fancy pushing him. But I'm on a different end of the spectrum. I love that he's like that throwback. Is he a rip-off of them? I don't think so. I mean, maybe a bit of Stone Cold. Like, I feel like exactly that pose that he's doing there. You could say he's imitating Stone Cold Steve Austin, and then his finisher, it does kind of look, the BFT. BFT? Yeah, BFT. It looks like a stunner, basically.
Hasn't he got the catchphrase? Is it yeah?
Yeah.
Stone Cold should say yeah as well.
Yeah. Okay, I get it. But there's no denying the man is a maestro on the microphone. In the ring, he's decent. He's not amazing, but listen, he's not from the new school where everything is choreographed. He's an actual wrestler. And I know that some of the people watching will be like, what do you mean by that? And what I mean by that is, nowadays, when you watch some of the new guys coming up, if you watch AEW, if we can go there for a sec, and you look at guys like Ricochet, Will Ospreay, and some of the other guys there that do that gymnastic style, it's like choreographed. They don't sell. They don't. It's everything is just It's bullshit. It's not wrestling. LA Knight is a proper wrestler. He's a superstar, as Vince like to say. So I can't understand why they won't give him the shot. And look, we've seen just with Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn held the world title for 9 days. He lost it last night to CM Punk. So, you can give him a chance. If it don't work out, you pull the plug. What are you gonna lose? What are you
But
gonna
you know what? Sami Zayn quickly though, yeah. I mean, that was weird to me because I know he won at Night of Champions, but he won it on Sunday, and on SmackDown, I think he had a match on SmackDown, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And then he loses it to CM Punk on Raw. He's had just over a week with a championship.
Mm-hmm.
In that case, do you feel like the management have felt okay? We've kind of made a wrong decision on this person. Like, should Sami? Because for me, Sami Zayn, I never looked at Sami Zayn and ever felt as if like this guy could potentially be like a world champion. I just don't see that in him. I think he's a good wrestler, very good wrestler. Look at his background, him and Kevin Owens coming from the Indies, particular. He's a great wrestler, Sami Zayn. But in terms of actual being WWE champion, I don't feel like they've kind of made the right decision there, to be honest with you. But maybe it might highlight the lack of star power they feel they've got at the moment. So yeah, what do you think about him sort of losing the championship so early on in his tenure?
They did that, in my opinion, just purely to appease the Saudi audience. That's it.
Well, Sami Zayn, he's a Muslim, right?
He's a Muslim, yeah. He's got a massive support out there. And, I could be wrong, but I don't think WWE's ever had a Muslim champion before.
Najinder Mahal, he's Hindi, isn't he?
Yeah. I don't think the Iron Sheik was a Muslim. So I'm not sure, but I don't think so. So there's also that. And like I said to you at the beginning of the show, it's about moments. The WWE have created a moment there with Sami Zayn. He's won the WWE title after 9 years on the roster. He finally did it, right? It's a moment.
Do you rate Sami Zayn as a superstar? Do you think he's like...
No, not for me. Not for me. Like you said it perfectly. He's a fantastic in-ring wrestler. He is. But he just doesn't have it for me in terms of, I don't find his personality to be that charismatic.
He's been more like on the comedic side in the last couple of years, right? He's had like celebrity matches at WrestleMania and stuff. So
yeah,
look at someone like that. It's like his presentation.
That's his lane. He's perfect. Leave the titles to the big boys. You do that stuff, and listen, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
No, you're right. I mean, the Miz has had like a career off. The Miz is a great superstar, and he's probably one of the longest serving at the moment. He's still on the roster, and he's had great moments when it comes to comedic things. And he's kind of like an all-rounder, a great company guy because he does everything. Right, he can have serious matches, which he's done in the past. He can also be. I think he had a great match with Dolph Ziggler. I think it was years ago. I don't know the pay-per-view, but it's a great match. So he's good in the ring as well. So Sami Zayn, you're right. He kind of does have that in him as well. But I think WWE champion. You're right. I think that was a moment there, to be honest.
Definitely.
But yeah, let's get back to quickly Oba Femi and obviously post King of the Ring. So you think that they fumbled him? Yeah, you think that they've not really handled him correctly?
No, they haven't. They haven't handled him correctly. It's a shit. Like they've done this with a few superstars over the last few years, where they've been white hot, and it seems as though there's no way that you could conceivably mess this up. Now, I'm not saying they've completely done it, but his star is definitely not as high as it was post WrestleMania. But then you could say that's like the whole product is the same. You know, the fans are not really that invested right now, especially because they're running back the story with Brock. They're not invested in what we thought might happen, which was Oba Femi is going to chase the title, the WWE title, that is. Yeah, I think they've messed it up. When a guy is that over, you've got to just put the rocket on him. You know, it's crazy to say this because it's Brock Lesnar, but I feel like this right now is doing nothing for Oba Femi. What does it do for him? It's just delaying. What, you know, when someone is great, you already know they're great, right? And you talk about like earning stripes. Listen, he earned his stripes. What do you want this guy to do with Brock Lesnar?
No, this is off topic here. Do you know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of Ahmed Johnson for some reason. No, that's not even like Not listen, Ahmed Johnson, just the presentation, like how he looks, like he's a big guy.
Ahmed Johnson couldn't cut a promo to save his life.
No, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Well, do you think that Oba Femi, like, do you think his promo skills have improved?
I think Oba Femi is incredible on the mic. Honestly, when I watch Oba Femi, and this goes all the way back to NXT. I don't really watch NXT that much, but he caught my eye, so I was starting to pay a bit of attention to him in particular. Phenomenal, yeah. Like on the mic, in the ring, his entrance, everything about him just screams aura. It just screams superstar, you know. It seems so hard to mess him up, but we've seen it in the past where WWE have had these white hot guys and they just messed them up. We saw it, in my opinion, they messed up LA Knight. Jacob Fatu as well, when he first came on the scene, was like incredible as well. Just his music alone gave you, like, it got you hyped. Now they've got him as Roman Reigns' lapdog. We don't know where that's going to go, but again, it's like, okay, I get it. You need to build up to a story, but why could the story not have been that, you know, Roman and Jacob just continued their feud, and in the end, Jacob beat Roman? Like, why?
Well, I suspect maybe Jacob may turn on Roman Reigns at SummerSlam, and that might.
But have we not seen that same story, but just with a different wrestler? Have we not seen that with Jimmy? Have we not seen that with Jay? Have we not seen that with Sammy? Like, at what point? We've even seen it with Paul Heyman. At what point do we say, okay, we're just doing the same storyline with a different wrestler now?
That's true. It's true. I mean, so with sort of, you know, listen, Hell in a Cell, SummerSlam, I guess we expect Oba Femi to win that, right?
Yeah.
He'll go over in that match. I think that has to be it for that feud, and I think they've got to find something for him to do at that point. But we touched upon quickly actually the state of WWE programming right now on the TKO, and listen, I think the fan base at the moment online, you know, the IWC as they call it, Internet Wrestling Community, has made it very clear that they're not happy with the current product. There's been a lot of things. There's been sort of like the issues with tickets for prices, particularly at WrestleMania, and prices for tickets, and just the whole product's not really. It feels quite stale at the moment, to be honest with you. And Triple H has been in charge for a couple of years now, and I think at the start you kind of felt like, listen, Vince McMahon's not there. Maybe we'll get something different. Maybe we'll get a bit more fresh energy, some new ideas, and we saw that for a bit of time, to be fair, because obviously Triple H was running NXT and he was promoting his talent at the time onto the main roster, calling them up. It didn't always work, but he did that and he was trying something new. But when you look at the WWE now under TKO in 2026, I don't think the future's bright. And again, I'm a casual watcher. You all know a lot more in terms of the week-to-week stuff, what goes on. And like, how do you kind of sum up what's going on now and the state of the product?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't go as far as to say it's unwatchable, but it's definitely not enjoyable. Back in the days when I first started watching wrestling, which was in the late 90s, you could watch the whole show and be entertained, like from the start to the, you know, and you was most excited to see your favorites, whether that would be like Austin, Rock, Kane, Undertaker, whoever it would be. But the storylines would be continuous through the show, and even if there was like a filler match, let's say Al Snow versus Hardcore Holly, as an example, right? You'd still be entertained. But nowadays, I'm not entertained, man. I'm not entertained. I think.
Well, do you know what is, Karen? I think, like, you mentioned something quite important. You mentioned Al Snow and Hardcore Holly. We had the hardcore division 24/7 title. Crush Holly was, you know, famous for making that popular. WWE had that though. They had the 24/7 title, and they obviously got rid of it. And that's what R-Truth was probably the best at, making entertainment. Segments were entertaining. WWE wasn't great to watch at the time, but you had a segment on the show which was entertaining. They would probably do segments outside the ring. They'll do it in, I don't know, like shopping malls, and they had wedding stuff. You know, things that you could kind of compare to the Attitude Era in a way. But they stopped doing all that stuff.
This is exactly my point. It's not entertaining. It's WWE. E is entertainment. Where's the entertainment? There's no entertainment right now. It's going to sound crazy, right? I love wrestling, but I want to be entertained. And like I said at the top of the show, 98% of that entertainment doesn't come from wrestling. It comes from the storyline. We don't watch it. We want to see the culmination of the story in the ring, but we want to see the build-up backstage or wherever it may be, right? We want to see the story being told. Nowadays, people talk about stories being told in the ring, and yeah, that's all great and dandy, but that's not going to attract the casual fans or the mainstream audience. It's funny because last week there was it was the anniversary of the highest watched episode of Monday Night Raw in history, which was in 1999. I think it was like 10.8 million viewers, peak viewership. 10.8 million. Nowadays, WWE can't even get that for WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And that was for a title match. It was Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Undertaker.
But you know what? I feel like you mentioned that we watched the wrestling for entertainment. But listen, let's face it. If we were growing up and we saw a wrestling match, right, you wouldn't really be interested in that. You just see two guys wrestling. But we were more invested in the characters. I remember the first time I came across WWE, I think it was a Raw match. I think it was under Kane versus Mankind in Hell in a Cell on Raw,
Yeah.
I think. And my cousin used to watch it, obviously, from Chingford, and I used to go there every Saturday. And I think there was a graphic I watched. There was Kane and Mankind next to each other, and I was thinking, like, who are these guys? Like, that instantly caught my attention. You've got a guy with a red mask, burn. You've got another guy, Mankind, with a mask on as well. And I'm thinking, what's going on here? Like, who are these two? And then carried on watching. They came out and had the Hell in a Cell match. And I'm thinking, well, this looks like carnage. From that moment, I was invested. I was like, I have to watch wrestling to see who these guys are. I found out a bit more about these superstars. I remember Kane coming out using his I forgot that he used to have a thing he used to talk with, like electric. Yeah. Watching that promo, I'm thinking, this guy's a monster. I used to be scared of Kane, right? And that was what got me invested. It was the characters, right? It was the characters, it was the superstars that really attracted us to think, okay, these guys are different. You don't see these guys all the time on TV. So let's watch it week after week. Stone Cold, The Undertaker, again, Mankind, someone who was, kind of weird and crazy in a way. So the superstars really got us invested. But when you look at the roster now, right, and TKO, there's nothing there to be interested when it comes to the product, because we've seen storylines take place time after time. Superstars aren't really. You mentioned LA Knight there; he's probably quite authentic because he's different, he's entertaining. Yeah. But we don't. The whole product now just feels stale. Fans watch Raw and feel like, I've seen that last week and I saw it the week before that. So there's nothing different.
You're right as well about the characters. That's such a big thing that is missing, and it has been missing for so long. Like, I'm not going to put that one at the door of Triple H and TKO. Yeah. That's been a symptom of wrestling for quite a while. I think there was a time when Vince was trying to integrate some new characters, but the fans, they kind of shit on it. So then he just kind of gave up. But I think it's not so much a symptom of WWE, but it's a symptom of wrestling in general. The characters are missing. I feel like wrestling right now, I don't care what figures TKO tried to put out, or WWE tried to put out to tell us. I mean, we always say Cody Rhodes. I can't stand him, by the way. I can't stand that motherfucker. I hate that we share a birthday, honestly.
Bro, that's crazy. I didn't know that,
Yeah, I can't stand it, man.
Jeez. I remember that. I remember that now.
But, yeah, he keeps saying, oh, yeah, we're doing, this is the new Attitude Era. We're doing record business. Where's this record business? Like, you're doing record business because you're selling tickets for obscene amounts of money, We saw Randy Orton get benched because he spoke. Well, he didn't speak out publicly, but he misspoke and, inadvertently criticized the ticket prices.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
So it's like, no, man.
What was the last event you went to, and what was the ticket prices out of interest?
Oh, the last event I went to was a SmackDown. It was a few years ago now, maybe 2023.
Right. So I think Vince McMahon was still in charge at that time. Must have been.
Yeah, and it wasn't that expensive, to be honest. I think it was like 70 quid.
70 quid, right. So you probably say that could be like a football match, kind of similar, a Premier League game, probably.
Yeah, well, that's similar to our Arsenal match, I can tell you. but it was good, man. Listen, I got to see Roman Reigns. I got to see Drew McIntyre. Bobby Lashley was still there. So it was a really nice evening. Great event as well. So look,
What's your thoughts on Triple H as a booker?
No, he's not it, man. I honestly never ever really had that much faith in him, and I'll quickly tell you why. I remember when he first became the head booker, so to speak, and every week what he was doing, we would see a return, and it was like, oh my God, Triple H has brought back this guy that Vince released. He's the GOAT promoter. Da, 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 da. But I wasn't really seeing anything of any substance. It was just literally like he's popping the crowd with moments. This guy's back, that girl's back. Da, da, da. And as time went on, and there were less and less people that he could bring back, we started to see the real Triple H. And we started to see why Vince McMahon was so reluctant to hand the keys over to him. I don't know.
Let's be honest, there was nobody else who's going to take over apart from Triple H. Like Shane McMahon was not going to come back. Stephanie wasn't going to do it. So it was always going to be Triple H who was going to take over as having that creative role, or that creative, be head of creative, I should say, in the company. That was clear. To be honest, that's clear from years ago.
I've never once looked at Triple H as a booker and thought, yeah, he's good. No, he's I don't know. Like, it's so weird because he worked alongside Vince for so many years, and as well, he was part of some great eras in wrestling. He's worked alongside some legends, stood across from them in the ring. So it's like, how can you do that and not pick up anything?
But one thing I'll probably give Triple H, one thing I'll probably say in his favor is that we look at Attitude Era, we look at the time that we grew up watching wrestling, right? It was a different era. WWE was a public traded company, I think 99, I might be wrong. And I think they went public in 99. And it was just a different time. You know, WWE's on the TKO now, it's under a banner. They couldn't really do what they could do in the 90s and early 2000s. Superstars aren't there. The characters are different. Wrestlers are different. The way they're trained.
What they did, but why not? Why not?
It's just a different time. A lot of things that you could do back then that involved males and females. Like the females used to wrestle males on TV, on weekly television.
Right.
That won't happen now.
But we see, you know, Edge famously once said in a TV interview, like, why does wrestling get treated any differently to a TV show? Because it is a TV show, essentially. Yeah. What in a TV show or in a movie, you would see a woman and a man fighting.
Yeah.
You would see nudity, or you would see like.
But you have to remember, though, Kieran, WWE historically has always been a family-friendly product. You're taking your children to WWE shows. When you watch movies and TV shows at home, as a parent or as a guardian, you don't have to let the kids watch that show. You've got control of it. But WWE always want to make sure that when you're coming to watch a WWE show, that kids can come, right? So if you went to a live WWE show and you saw a bra and panties, for instance, right? I don't think kids, and that happened in Attitude Era, but the demographic or who it was targeted to was different. It was a different age group, right? So Vince McMahon was very big. Apart from that period from 98 to 2002, he was very big on, okay, it's got to be family friendly. You have to bring your kids to the show. So again, watching TV shows at home, and I get where you're coming from, where Edge is coming from, but they always want to open the doors and make sure that when you're coming to the WWE show, your kids can come there. Whereas when you're watching TV at home, you're watching certain shows, kids don't have to be exposed to that content because you're essentially in charge. But we want you to bring your kids, pay your money, and come to our shows. If you come to our shows and we're exposing them to this type of content or behavior, then you might think, okay, I'm not going to bring them back here. So WWE always want to make sure that families can come through the doors to the shows. And I think that's the reason why we don't see that anymore.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, man. I didn't really think of that when I was talking about, you know, why they can't.
I think they can still push the envelope, don't get me wrong, but I'm just thinking about how they're going to be thinking about it now as a brand.
Listen, end the snowflake era, man. Listen, I get it. You want to attract the kids to the product, but the reality is, eventually these kids are going to get older and they're going to see that this is trash. Yeah. Whereas, like, for me, I mean, I get it. It was a different time. The only reason I'm watching this trash today is because of how amazing it was back then. You still got, they haven't really got any credit left in the bank, but that you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
It's
think when
like,
you're a fan for life, aren't you? I suppose so.
unfortunately, it's just like with football. It's like if your team, my team, they didn't win for so many years, and
So you can't complain. You're used to it. Then you watch Arsenal be crap for years, so you can't really moan about it.
Wait, what? What did you say?
You're used to watching like trash for like 20 years. So
No, you know what? The only thing I'm used to is being champions of England. That's what I'm used to.
Come on, man. Move on. But no, like, listen, I think you're right. I think when you're a fan for WWE, you're a fan for life, innit? And I mean, what's quickly? I mean, what does the future look like under TKO? Do you think it looks positive or?
No, the future doesn't look positive, but it's a shame because there are a lot of talented guys and girls on the roster. Whether that be NXT or, the main roster, there's a lot of talent there. You got Javon Evans. I don't know if I see him as like WWE title talent, but he's definitely a guy that I think he's really popular and he's really good. So he could be even, I don't like comparing two guys to each other, but he could legitimately be like the next Kofi Kingston type guy. Where he's just obviously no one is a WWE lifer anymore, and I'm going to touch on that very briefly in a moment. Yeah. But so you got Javon,
Sheamus,
Sol Ruka, Oba Femi, Jacob Fatu. There's a lot of, even though Jacob is a bit older than those people, they got a lot of Bron Breakker, a lot of talent is there, but I fear in 10 years or so, we could look back and say, do you know what? This was like one of the worst eras to be a WWE superstar, because the talent that was there, the business should have moved forward instead of going backwards and sideways. They got the talent to definitely make this product a lot better than it is. But they got to push the right people. You got to push the right people, man. Look how hot Chad Gable was, and look what they did to him. He's back now.
He's probably my favourite, to be fair, out of like the current sort of group. I think they can do something with him, to be fair, but I don't know if that will happen. I mean, the Triple A match he had was brilliant, man. That was great.
Well, he's back now. He's back on the roster. I still feel like they really killed his momentum by not having him be the one to dethrone Gunther.
That's what I was saying all the time. That's what I was saying. He had to beat him. He had to have that match at WrestleMania and beat him for it. That had to happen.
So they messed him up. And then just to say, as I was saying about WWE lifers, I mean, that's another thing that's changed. And it doesn't really affect us, the viewer, that much. But as you get older, you start to care about other things as well as the wrestling that you're watching. And it's just a shame that people like Kofi Kingston, Sheamus, who gave so much to the company, are just discarded in such a nonchalant type of way. I mean, Kofi Kingston, he didn't get any opportunity to say goodbye or anything. They just parted ways. They could have easily said, okay, do you know what, Kofi, we're going to give you a release, but, let's do something with you on Raw. No, nothing. See you later.
That was strange. Even like Shelton Benjamin, he got released, didn't he, a couple of years ago, and he was great for the company. I don't think they scratched the surface with him. To be fair, really talented in-ring guy. I know he's Intercontinental champion, and I think he was an ECW champion at one point as well. I think they could have done a lot more with Shelton Benjamin. But you mentioned Sheamus. I mean, listen, it's been reported that he's going to leave the company after so many years. I mean, what's your thoughts on that potentially happening?
I mean, he had an opportunity to be a Grand Slam champion. If he does leave, he won that, and that's a shame because he definitely is deserving of it. Now, he was never my favorite, but he's been a great wrestler, been a great servant, always solid in the ring, solid on the mic. It's a terrible thing to see a guy. I would say he's a legend, you know.
But you got to remember as well, even during that sort of COVID period, the Thunderdome era, he had great matches week after week for the company. Like in that period where you had to rely on certain performers because of what was happening in the protocols, like Sheamus was brilliant. He was reliable, had great matches week after week in a difficult environment, I've got to say as well.
He's always so it's a shame. You know, these guys that are so reliable. I mean, yeah, he's had his injury problems, but whenever they've called on him, he's never let them down. He's never not put someone over and done the job. It's just a shame, you know, that they're gonna, you know, move him on in the way that they are. I feel like, you know, but they tried this last year with R-Truth, and if not for the fan backlash, that he would have been on the chopping block as well. And now look, they're still using him today for his comedy segments. The way that TKO treats some of the more tenured superstars is appalling. Because Vince would have never done that.
Yeah, it's true, man. I think, well, listen, it remains to be seen what happens with Sheamus if he does end up leaving the company. But yes, it's been great to chat today, Kieran, as always. We're going to have some more WWE content coming your way, guys, so do keep in touch with the channel. I've got to remind you guys as well, please like and subscribe on YouTube. And also, guys, please follow us on X, Instagram, and also now TikTok. Handles will be in the description down below. Yeah, Kieran, man, it's been good to catch up as always. I remember Cody's got the same birthday as you. I'll keep that in mind from now going forward. But yeah, guys, man, listen, thanks for watching today, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Yeah.